I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Rick Robertson.
Here.
John Clark.
Here.
Amanda Hunter.
Here.
Joe David.
Here.
Nancy Conway. Present and counting.
Okay, approval of the agenda.
I would like to approve the agenda with the addition of Article 22 marijuana ordinance clarification in place of, or in addition to number 10.
Okay.
So add that to number 10.
Yes.
And I also need to add number 14, electrical at the town hall.
So I'll make a motion to approve the agenda with clarification of Article 22 as an addition to number 10 and electrical as number 14.
Okay, motion by Hunter, supported by Clark to approve the agenda with addition to number 10 and adding on 14 for electrical. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried, 5-0. Approval of the November 15 meeting minutes.
Motion to approve the minutes as submitted. Support that.
Okay, motion by Robertson, supported by Clark to approve the November 15, 2022 minutes. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried, 5-0. Any public comments on action items only? Okay, we need to do a budget amendment.
I make a motion to do a budget amendment on 2 lines. When we did our budget for last year, we did not expect the building permits to be, and it's a wash, but in our budget, we still have to account for it. So we're over on building permits and cemetery. Cemetery will calm down. So I would like to see $3,000 go to line 101-276-702 for the cemetery. And for the building inspector, so hopefully we're not going to have to do this again, line 101-372-802 for the building inspector, amend that 6,000. So the total amended amount will be $9,000 for those 2 accounts. So I make that motion.
I'll second.
Motion by Conley, supported by Hunter to approve the budget amendment of the $3,000 to cemetery and $6,000 to building inspector. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried, 5-0. Bills?
Anybody have any questions on them? I'll make a motion to approve the bills as submitted.
Support.
Okay, motion by Hunter, supported by Robertson to approve the bills totaling,
$17,578.30.
okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried, 5-0. Treasurer's report.
All right, so total money in the money market account right now, or as of November 30th, was $719,128.74. In our general fund checking account was $1,357.47 for a total cash available of $720,486.21. We currently, or as of 11:30, we had $6,044.46 between the treasury accounts. We brought in $160,000 last month for marijuana permits, and we had an additional $95,000 this month for marijuana permits, but that won't reflect until the next board meeting. I did want to mention that we do have a couple outstanding checks that we need to look at for next month. I will give you guys all of that information, because I have to check with MTA to see how to handle a couple of them. So, just keep in mind that we do have a couple outstanding checks that we will need to deal with next month.
Are they both payroll?
One is payroll, one is general, bills, and then we have one, which may have been taken care of already, as an EFT. But I think that might have been taken care of because that was on 10/17, so I think I was looking this morning and that was taken care of.
Okay.
So,
All right. Any correspondence?
Yes, that right folder here. When our, tax bills went out, we included the last, what did we include?
Newsletter?
yeah.
The last newsletter of the tax bills. And in it, we had asked, we talked about constructing a book building, and a little book building. I know you've seen them. People bring books, take them out. It's a, you know, and we keep it stocked, and I've got enough books at my house to stock it for quite a while. So anyways, we threw that out there if anybody would be interested in building one, and we did get a response from Randy Kinsey. He said, I wondered if anyone volunteered to construct a little book building. If not, I'm willing to do it. So I talked to him, and we received something from Summer Little, and she actually works with a book company, and she has books on hand, and although they don't have time to build the building, we'd be willing to help stock the little building so people can come and go, and there'll be adult books within reason and children's books, but they just bring them back if they want. You know, you don't have to take any to bring them in. It's just kind of a goodwill thing. So he said he would do it.
Where is this gonna be at, out here then?
Somewhere, yeah, by the building, yeah, we haven't determined it yet, we just threw it out there to see if we get any response, and, there is one in the township, and it's quite
I think they
busy.
had one north of,
North of your house.
me,
Yeah, and it's quite busy.
yeah.
So we thought, you know, with the recycle center going in and other things going on, it would be something for people to use,
Yeah.
so. That's there. We did get something from the state on the success of our November 8th election, which was, I thought was very good, came from Secretary of State. Everything we turned in balanced. So I did print off for the board. I get an update from John Bumstead about things that are happening, things that are on the floor right now in the Senate, things that are going on there. There's a Michigan Spark grant that they're looking at in the village. Vicki and I have been talking about it, and that was one of the things. So if you'd like to see the Mr. Bumstead's update to us, that is there. I guess that's it.
I had 2 letters from Mr. Steve Talbot. One was regarding FOIA information that he requested, and one was regarding the fees that had been charged.
Okay, anything else?
I think that is all I had that you guys.
Supervisor's report? We had a good turnout for the turkey giveaway, and donations from other residents and churches. We had enough meals for 50 families to go along with the turkeys. We had over 200 people respond to it this year. And then on Saturday, we had our tree lighting. We had Brendan Steve Rosencrans has been a big help for the last couple of events, and then they donated cups and napkins, and Marlene Willis donated cookies. Teep Spalding donated cookies. The mobile gas station donated hot chocolate. Hugh and Nancy Conley donated coffee and more cookies. And then myself and a few other people donated toys and socks and hats and all kinds of stuff. We had more tables full of stuff up there, but it was for people to take. So if there's anybody here that sees anything up there that they are interested in, everything up there is free and for the taking. There's decorations, there's stockings, there's
Or if you
combination
know
of different
somebody
things.
that could use it, if you know somebody that can use it, let us know.
So, and we had Santa here and an elf, so kids got to get their pictures taken with Santa.
Ornament.
And we had an ornament contest, so the fifth graders up at the school, they all made ornaments for the tree outside, and then there was a contest, and they everybody that was here got goodie bags that were donated, and then first, second, and third place all received gift cards, and the gift cards were also donated. So that was nice to see. Other than that, I don't have anything right now. So let's go on to business items. Unfinished, there's nothing new business. We have a visitor today, Mark Kraus from Newfield County Tourism Board for Economic Development.
Thank you. I got some things here I dropped off.
Okay.
I'll pass them up to the board.
Thank you.
I'll leave a few copies up here if anybody wants to grab them on the way out. As Joan said, my name is Mark Kraus. Newfield Township resident, lifelong Hesperia resident, and for the last 5 years, I think I've been representing Hesperia on the Newfield County Tourism Council. The purpose of the Tourism Council is to promote the assets in and around Newfield County. We're in a kind of a unique situation, Hesperia being split. I don't need to explain that to you guys. But my goal, my charge on the council is to make sure Hesperia is equitably represented when we talk about Newfield County. We certainly get overlooked and overshadowed by some of the larger communities. So my job is to make sure we are at the table, we are being represented in an equitable manner. So the Tourism Council started, I think, in 2017. The Fremont Area Community Foundation gave us the seed funding to do this. We are totally volunteer driven. And we are, in formation of the council, we wanted to make sure in the bylaws that certain communities are always represented. So all 3 Newfield County Chambers of Commerce have permanent seats on the board. For the Tourism Council, we felt that was important. So since the inception, I've been representing Hesperia. I've provided some of the things that we've been doing specific to Hesperia. We contract with essentially a marketing company to produce some items. So you've got in front of you our big project. I think last year was developing a White River map, which is the trifold there. It's really high quality. It highlights some of the things around the White River. The map, if you open it up all the way, is the big map of the river from White Cloud to Lake Michigan, with lots of stops and points of interest along the way. Certainly, the river is a big part of Hesperia and a big part of the draw here. Going back a little bit, the Community Foundation has always considered Hesperia, all of Hesperia, as, quote, Newfield County. And the Tourism Council has taken the position as well that all of Hesperia is, quote, Newfield County. So much of the natural resources and the natural assets of Hesperia do fall within the village and or Newfield Township. So I was speaking to the village last week, and Nancy invited me today to share what we're doing in Hesperia and for Hesperia. one of the things that we are, I don't know if I made this connection, because I'm on the Hesperia Chamber, it allows me to be on the Tourism Council. And so the Tourism Council and the Hesperia Chamber of Commerce are partnering in 2023 to produce a Hesperia map. It'll be look very similar to what you see in front of you, but it'll be the downtown area with points of interest. We will be selling like advertising around organizations and businesses that want to be highlighted. We will be charging a fee for that, but then also out to the outskirts, the parks and the river and the dam, and in and out of the river access along the way, the public access. So that's, like I said, the plan for 2023. The chamber is taking a lead on that. But when I was speaking to the village, I was asking for their financial support for the Tourism Council. Again, it's Newfield County Tourism Council. I don't know if it is appropriate for Newfield Township to invest, but we certainly do promote the area, the village, and the use of the river and public access. So some of the other things we did during the pandemic when things shut down, people were begging for things to do outdoors. We produced a arts map. It was a map of the county with maybe a couple dozen pieces of public art, Hesperia included. We did a shopping and eating map. You can see in there every year we produce a color tour of the county, which takes you through Hesperia up towards Whiteley and down through 37, down to Grant and back up around to Fremont, a loop map. So lots of maps are a big thing with us. We have our website, newegoexploring.com, has access to all of this. We have seasonal blogs to show people what they can do in the area, places they can stay, places they can eat, different attractions and those sorts of things. So again, I just wanted to share this with you. We are working to make sure we're at the table. All of Hesperia is at the table when we're working on these county-wide and regional initiatives. So thank you all very much.
Thank you for coming, Mark.
Yeah.
Is there anything that anybody can do? Like, are you taking volunteers for anything, or anything that we can do to help out? Or?
Be an advocate and an ambassador for Hesperia. Certainly the tourism is big here. Lots of people have seasonal residents and cottages, and lots of people traveling through. So when you have visitors coming, or you're talking to family members, send them to that website. There's lots of stuff on there.
We can put this in our little box out here by our door.
Absolutely. Okay.
I think that would be there's a lot of people that pull in here, and I answer the door when I'm here on Mondays, and they're not here to see me, they're here to read. They're looking for something, and
Yeah.
I was here and wanted the newsletter because he wanted to know where Dieter's, he remembered it in his tax bill, he's seasonal. He didn't remember where the address was, so he had stopped here for that. So they do use that box.
Great.
Great. Thank you, Mark. Next for new business is to accept Jennifer Sherwin's resignation from Planning Commission. So I make a motion that we accept that.
Fourth.
Okay, motion by David, supported by Robertson, to accept Jennifer's resignation. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried, 5-0. We've always been at 5 members, and we went up to 7 for a short amount of time because there was so much going on and so many changes being made and all that. And I think at this time, I feel that we need to return to 5 members. And I don't see a reason to have 7 when there's not a lot to do, and then plus the cost of paying for 2 extra ones that aren't really needed. So I make a motion that we return to 5 members of the Planning Commission.
I'll support. Can I ask a quick question though? I'm just curious if we have an idea of how many people applied for that position.
We had lots of people at one meeting say that they were interested, but I only had 2 people.
Okay, I was
Turn
talking like
anything in.
physical, like how many
Yeah.
candidates? Okay.
So, motion by David, supported by Hunter to return to 5 members of the planning commission. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried, 5-0. Next, I'd like to make a motion to appoint Michael Jansma to the planning commission.
Support.
Okay, motion by David, supported by Robertson to approve Michael. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried, 5-0. The next thing is, we had talked about, having another IT person. And Jay Peasley used to be our IT person, and there's been many times that we need that, and, there's some, things that, Amanda's been doing that she needs to concentrate on other things, concentrate on, the money part of it and all that, and so I feel that we need to go back to having a IT person, and,
Was a per hour wage.
So I was gonna say, we don't, to my knowledge, we don't have a current position.
We
Yes.
do, and I think he was paid 20, when, Jay did it, he was paid $24 an hour. And he was our IT person. He isn't anymore, but we never did away with the position,
Okay,
so.
because that's what I was curious of. I
Yeah,
didn't
no.
realize we actually
And
had a
we-
position
yeah,
for
and
it, so.
he agreed to $24 an hour, and apparently Michael did too, so.
Well, yeah, well, Michael was $25 an hour,
Oh,
but
was he? Okay.
Inflation.
but, he, so, there are different things that I talked to him about, which are farther down on the agenda. So when we get to that part, I will bring that up, but I make a motion that we approve Michael to also be our IT person as needed.
Support.
Okay, motion by David, supported by Robertson to approve Michael for the IT person at $25 an hour. All in favor, say
Can we
aye.
open this up for discussion first? I just had a couple other things that I'd like to, ask in all of this.
Mhm.
So, can we make sure that in this, he is the IT person that covers all of our internet issues? He will take over responsibility of the website,
Well, that's what,
which I
that-
figured was down
that was all
farther.
part of it, but
Um,
until we do number 7, I couldn't really.
Okay, because that's my thing is that if he's gonna be the IT person, he's gonna be the IT person for
Right.
Right.
everything.
Yeah, I
not
just didn't include that because we didn't get to number 7 yet, so I
Okay.
should have done number 7 before.
And we said 25 an hour.
Mm-hmm, as needed.
Okay. And my only question with the $25 an hour, would it be smarter to do a monthly stipend?
A what?
A monthly stipend.
Monthly.
I'm
Jay
50-50
didn't-
on that.
Jay
It's
didn't
like-
feel it was necessary. Michael's very honest. I mean, I feel he's a very honest person, and I'll run the wages through, but,
And that's something
Jay
we
didn't
can
feel it was
always.
necessary,
we can
because there's
always-
some months he don't, there's not a whole lot, and then there's some months, like if we're doing purchases or
Mhm.
switching over, like you just did with us with the,
Yeah.
emails and
Mm-hmm.
all that, then it's a busy time.
Yeah.
Sometimes you don't put hardly anything other than minutes on the website, and sometimes it's crazy, so,
Okay.
We can always
And we
play
can
it by
always-
ear in
we
like
can-
6 months.
yeah,
Yeah,
Down
see
the road.
what it's
right. Do
averaging
per hour and
us.
see where it goes from
Okay.
there.
Fair enough.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried, 5-0. So the state's doing something new with board of review members, and they're making all the townships, approve all the board of review members, even though their term's not up. And,
And they served before.
yeah, and they changed it where you had to be, you had to go and get trained every year, and then they changed it that you had to go every other year. but because they're making this change, everybody has to be pre-approved, or be reapproved, and then on February 16th, everybody has to go to a meeting to be certified and trained, and then they'll go back to the every other year thing, which, I don't know. So, I make a motion that we approve, Darlene Homerich, Marlene Willis, Mary Hopkins, and Tom Mio to continue as our board of review members.
I second it.
Okay. Motion by David, supported by Conley, to approve the 4 board of review members. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried 5-0.
And that's the meeting on the 16th of February that's at Golden Township?
Golden Township
Okay.
from 1 to 4, and it's $25 per member, so
Okay.
there's 5 people going because I'm part of the board of review,
Right.
so, so that would cost $125 for that.
And it's what time?
1 to 4.
Thank you.
Yep. Next is, I make a motion that we remove Amanda from office assistant. She's been doing that and her regular job. She started out as office assistant before she took over for Tammy, and so technically she was doing both jobs, so I make a motion that we remove her from office assistant. So she's just doing treasurer work.
Can't believe she's not gonna support that.
By law, it involves me, I have to
I'll support
abstain.
Motion by David, supported by Robertson, to remove Amanda from the office assistant duties. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Abstain,
Carried 4-0-1.
I wrote it down.
thank
Okay.
you.
Okay, and in our next, I make a motion that we approve Judy Cruz for office assistant with some changes. Originally, the office clerk, one of the responsibilities was update the website, but with our IT person, they will be doing that. And the holds key to township hall and access to computer. When Amanda had access to a computer, it was a little bit different because she was training alongside of Tammy
I was also the
At-
deputy.
at the same time and all that, so that, those 2 things I think needs to come out as far as the access the computer and updates the website. As far as holding a key, I don't think we don't hardly ever need an office clerk, but when we do need it,
Yeah.
I mean, she can come here either on a Monday or Tuesday when somebody's already here, because we would have to explain to her what, we need done anyway, so. So I feel that, we pretty much just need to put on there filing and typing.
And, yeah, and what we were looking at, and Amanda and I talked about it, and you and I have talked about it, is ever since Tammy got on board, 2008, all of our yearly, all of our records that get audited, we do it by year, they're in cardboard, nice boxes, I mean, they're filing boxes, but those need to be filed into fireproof filing cabinets. So that's something we need to look at, because that cardboard is not gonna last out there. We're lucky it's lasted as much as it has.
Well, a lot of that needs to go, because a lot of it's
Right,
beyond
right,
retention anyway.
Right, but the stuff that needs to be retained needs to be filed out of there. So that's something on down the line that Judy will be able to help with.
So here's a thought that I have. Well, first you made a motion.
Okay,
Did anybody,
second it.
did we have a
Was you
second?
done making that motion?
Yeah,
It was
I
all
think- yeah.
damn long. I'll
Yeah.
support it.
Okay,
Okay, so now that we're open for discussion, my thought is, I honestly don't see the need for an office assistant. The office assistant position was created specifically because I was training with Tammy. And since I was training every week, it was because our deputies are only paid $100 a year. So being that I was in here doing the website,
Mhm.
helping with everything, it was felt that I was needed to be paid for the hours that I worked. That was why the office assistant position had came about in the first place. I don't think our filing is that extensive. The other thing I'm thinking of, we already have deputies. My thought process is and Joan, you are allowed a deputy as well. So by law, Nancy and I have to have deputies. By
Sure.
provision, you are allowed to have one. I would like to look at the option of paying our deputies an hourly rate instead of a yearly rate and having them do the filing. So my deputy can do my treasurer filing. Nancy's can do her clerk filing. So that way we don't have one person trying to do a retention schedule on 3 or 4 or 5 different areas. Because retention schedules are difficult. I have done that.
My
Many times.
deputy's not interested.
I'll agree with Amanda, I'll support it.
Well, there's already a motion on the
Yeah.
table, so,
But anyway,
but I'm not
I guess
comfortable.
the big thing is that when we hired Jackie, we put all of the assessor files in order. I mean, it was a mess because assessors would take and pull stuff for board review, and we realized that there were years of stuff that wasn't put back into the file. So that's what Jackie did. I will work with the office assistant on the retention stuff, but I really think because we have some stuff from when the Colby's back 30 years, some of that stuff isn't needed anymore. So I would be willing to work with Judy on a retention schedule, just mainly not for the stuff that I'm filing currently, but for the stuff that's been here for the last 50 years.
Well, and I guess that's where I'm going with, if we have our deputies who are already employees, it's one
My
less.
deputy is
you know,
not interested, I've asked her. So,
You know, the other thing is, I think that those records should be, I think they should be touched by the board member and their designee. It's a personal thing of mine. I personally don't want, an office assistant, and I would have felt the same way if, you guys would have told me that back then,
well, she's sworn in, she'll be sworn in, so she takes an oath, and she will be working with her.
I don't even know her.
You don't know Judy?
No.
Oh,
me either. I mean, I don't know her either, and
I think you 3 women should handle it. I mean, I know
John,
you're gonna tell
you
me.
haven't got a clue,
Huh?
you haven't got a clue.
Well, you're
Sorry.
not that busy every day.
I mean, and the thing is, if I just got in there, it would take me 3 days, probably, to go through all of that stuff. I mean, I've been through the entire
But we're
Waco County
relieving you of
clerks.
something now, getting rid of all you had to do with the office assistant to free up some time. That's why we're doing this, is to keep your time free.
I just think it's irrelevant to pay somebody for an office assistant position.
I don't think it's right.
I don't think it's necessary, but that's why we're in discussion right now, so. The motion is on the table.
Joan made the motion, Rick seconded it.
Okay, so the motion is to approve Judy as office assistant. Seconded by Rick. So all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Okay, carried 3-2.
Yeah, it was on, but
Next is approve meeting dates for 2023. So it'll be the 3rd Tuesday of each month. Had it printed up. But does anybody know now ahead of time if there's a 3rd Tuesday of the month that you're not going to be able to be here? Okay. Otherwise, I make a motion that we approve the meeting dates for 2023 as the third Tuesday of each month. Do I have a second?
Support.
Okay, motion by David, supported by Robertson. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I'll put it in the, for
Opposed?
Shannon here.
Okay. I've got them all written down, real quick. Okay, carried 5-0. Number 10 is the permits.
So number 10, the reason why I wanted to clarify, I talked to the lawyer earlier today because I read through his memorandum and I still had some questions. And we were discussing it, and our ordinance is very fuzzy. There's a lot of things, we know that this has gotta be updated in the future. But currently, there are some contradictory things. So right now, the ordinance could read one of two ways for how renewal permits are approved. It could read either that the zoning administrator approves renewal permits as long as they applied before the deadline, there are no material changes to the property, and they have complied with our ordinance. In that instance, it could be taken that the zoning administrator approves these just as an administrative approval, or our ordinance could also be taken as he approves it without a public hearing, so without going back to the planning commission, and then the township board votes on the permits. So the lawyer asked us to clarify what the original intention was of the ordinance when it was passed. And he wanted us to do that via a motion.
Well, it's my understanding that if it was a new permit or a change to a permit, then it would go through the board, but if everything stayed the same, then the zoning administrator would do that.
But still, we should have our right to vote every year. I mean, you're taking our right away if you change it.
We're
I
not
was-
changing anything.
We're not changing.
Well, I was under the impression that it needed to be voted on every year. That's what I was
That's
on
what
the
I thought,
impression.
every year it's voted on.
That's not what the ordinance says.
But it does.
Yes, if you read it.
Like I said, it says both ways, which is why he's asking us to clarify.
Okay.
It says both ways, so it was what was the intention, like what does this board
I mean, I
agree
don't-
to continue to do until we change
As
the
long as
ordinance?
it's a renewal and they have met all requirements, you know,
Mhm.
and everything, I feel it's, that we don't need to approve it as a board, that, as long as they do not make any changes and they meet all requirements, it could be approved by the zoning administrator. If there's changes, then we needs to go through proper channels to do that.
So here's my only concern for this year when about doing this, is that our zoning administrator was our marijuana enforcement officer for the majority of the year. So essentially, there's no oversight. There's no checks and balances to this process.
There is now because.
Now there is, but there hasn't been this year.
But there is, and he's on for 6-month trial,
Mhm.
and I think he's doing very well, he's
Okay.
reported back to us. So I feel that it can stay where it's at.
Well, like I said, it's at both places, that's why, so we need to make a motion of clarifying that the zoning administrator will continue, or, will do the approvals each year as long as those conditions are met, or we need to clarify that the renewal applications are approved by the board. That's what our motion essentially needs to clarify. So, the other thing, I have not seen any of the reports. So
I mean, how do we know
how do we know what they were
how do we
compliant?
know what Rick's doing?
How do you know what Rick's doing?
Yeah, he should give a report every month.
He's working with Steve.
But
I don't see
he's
no
the
report.
marijuana
How do
enforcement
we-
officer, so he should have the ultimate.
The books are out there with.
If you're gonna make an accusation, make an accusation.
I'm not making an accusation.
No, I'm just,
And John, you were with me on some of the inspections.
yes, I know, and I know there's a lot of it wasn't corrected either.
What?
Don't even go
No,
there.
no, we're back,
We're here.
No.
we're working on
We're
this.
here.
And it's
You started it.
Clarification.
You started it.
So, does somebody want to make a motion of how they want to clarify this? I'll make a motion to clarify that the renewal applications are approved by the board each year.
I'll support it.
No, we need to go back to, cause like this, an application for a new permit shall be subject to review by the planning commission. Upon review, the planning commission shall vote to either recommend approval or denial, and then the township board of trustees shall then hold a hearing on the permit application and vote to approve. That's on a new one.
That is not a new one.
And then the ordinance provides for a specific procedure for applications for renewal or amendment of existing permits. Applications for the renewal or amendment of existing permits shall be reviewed and granted or denied before applications for new permits are considered.
Yeah.
Paragraph 10 of section B then states that a renewal application shall be approved by the zoning administrator without public hearing.
Public hearing. What is a public hearing as defined by this ordinance? A public hearing as defined by this ordinance is a hearing of the planning commission. Without public hearing. That is correct.
Where
We
there
all
are-
agree on that.
Are no material changes to the permitted property, and the permit holder has maintained strict compliance with the ordinance and state law.
We all agree on that a renewal permit does not have to go back to planning commission.
Right, I just know why we don't leave
But
it like it is. I mean,
then-
you're making a big deal out of all this. Once a year vote on it, you know it's gonna go through and it's,
Because it then states, where's he gonna put it in here?
As long
same
as it's an
requirements
ordinance, I
apply
don't
to all
understand why we have to, it's either or, whatever we choose to do. I don't understand the clarification.
Because the only thing that the ordinance states is that as long as the permit was, the permit was approved, or not approved, excuse me, let me back up. As long as it was submitted in time, so by November 30th is the date that we've been using. As long as there are no material changes to that, and as long as they have been held in strict compliance, then the zoning administrator shall approve the permit without a public hearing. And a public hearing, as defined by the ordinance,
Is the planning.
is the planning commission. It later states in this ordinance that the zoning administrator has 60 days from the time of receiving the application to approve it.
Right.
And then the board has 120 days from the date of the application being received to approve the permit. So the
On a
words
new
were,
one.
no, it
On
does
the
not,
new- it
it does
doesn't
not
say?
specify. That's why it needs clarification. So it could be read either way. And that is why it needs clarification. What does this board want to do? And I have been sending out these emails as I've gotten them to everybody. So I would like to go ahead and make a motion to clarify in Article 22 that the applications are approved after approved by the board, after the board votes on them yearly.
I'll support it.
Is this a one-time thing, so for this year,
This is until our ordinances change.
changed? Okay, so when we're looking at changing ordinances, this may be
This,
one that
this
we'll
may
look at.
be adjusted
So this is a
and
1 year,
essentially a one-year thing as long as.
On page 2, under section B, paragraph, do we need to clean up that paragraph, correct?
when we look at the ordinance. We can't do it now.
No, I'm just saying, but that's what you're talking about, we need to get that clarified.
Right.
That and also the part down where must and shall with the zoning administrator and
Mhm.
planning commission and, okay.
So essentially, we're clarifying the process.
Right.
So my thought of clarifying the process is the applications are submitted to the zoning, well, they should be submitted to the marijuana enforcement officer, but that's, again, not what our ordinance states. So they are submitted to the zoning administrator. The zoning administrator, as long as those 3 qualifications have been met, approves of the application to be passed along to the board to vote on.
Okay.
That is what my motion is being made for. And that is
I
what John
support
seconded it.
You want a roll call vote?
Sure.
Rick Robertson,
Yes,
John Clark,
Yes,
Amanda Hunter,
Yes.
Nancy Conley, yes. Joan David.
Yes. And so at the planning commission meeting, can you go over this with everybody and make sure that this gets done as,
Clarified.
I was gonna say, there's nothing to be changed in the ordinance, it's just a
To be clarified.
verification.
So it's passed.
passed by through?
Yep.
So the second thing that we needed to clarify per the lawyer was, when an application needs to be turned in by.
Oh, we gotta do that yet.
Now you're talking about modifying an ordinance. You cannot do
No,
it.
our ordinance states 2 different things, Steve.
Then you have to go through the process of the ordinance. You're changing what's
Listen.
in the ordinance is in the ordinance. You can't change the
Okay,
language.
so
of it.
technically then, they all needed to apply by November 1st. You know, there was only one that applied by November 1st. The rest of them all have to abide by a new or by a new facility.
We'll go through the book.
That is
But
why
you-
he asked me to have it clarified.
Read the email. He did not ask you to have it clarified.
I
Now,
physically talked to him, yes, I did.
I've talked to him how many times?
I talked to him
You have
after he sent
emails.
that email.
no children.
So I would like to make a motion to clarify that the applications, are deemed, as long as a completed application is turned in by November 30th, it meets the deadline. Because our ordinance states, that it needs to be turned in 60 days prior to the, expiration date, which would be November 1st.
Right.
But then in another section, it states November 30th. So he needed clarification of which one it's gonna be, which one we're gonna stand by.
Well, that we would have to go through the planning commission would have to.
Redo the ordinance. So are we just looking for this year again?
Essentially, yes, we're looking as a clarification, how are we going to interpret this as of right now until we change our ordinance? Because we're planning on changing our ordinance before all of this comes up again. So this is essentially a one-year thing, but this is what we will be abiding by until our ordinance changes. And if we say November 1st, it brings me to the third thing, which is we need to make a motion to clarify what happens if an applicant does not submit a completed application by the deadline that we're creating now. Because according to the lawyer, again, this could be taken multiple ways. We can take it as they are allowed to renew, but their permit might not be valid as of January 1st. Or what he's suggesting is they have to go through an entire new application process. as a new facility. And he kept saying that as of November 1st, if we did not receive their application, they need to go through as a new facility, which means only one of them would have qualified this year as a renewal. Do we really want to do that?
No, I would,
So I am making a motion to clarify that we are allowing as long as a completed application is received by November 30th, we will deem it as a renewal application.
I'll support that. That way we don't have to go through the other one.
And this is a one-year thing until we get this.
Until we
figured out.
renew until we update our ordinance, yes.
Update or clarify, which would be the problem?
We're clarifying.
We are clarifying
Clarifying.
tonight,
We're
we are
not-
updating next
You
year.
have to
We
take it back to
can't, we
them.
can't change
We can't
anything.
change anything in our
Right.
ordinance, we just,
Why-
We're
I said-
clarifying.
that's why I
when there's
said
contradictory information, you need to clarify.
okay.
So we're going, so your motion goes with the November 30th due date.
Yes. Which is what we have been following this year
Right along,
right along.
yeah. That's the way it was interpreted.
Okay, motion by Hunter, supported by Clark to go with the November 30th instead of the November 1st date
For this year only.
for this year only, until the
Well, until the ordinance
Ordinance
is
is
changed.
is. Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Well, you wanna do
Aye.
it, you better do it.
Yeah, do a roll call.
Rick Robertson,
Aye.
John Clark,
Aye.
Amanda Hunter,
Yes.
Nancy Conley, yes. Joan David,
Yes.
motion carried.
Which brings us to the third clarification that he wanted us to make. We need to clarify what happens when an applicant does not submit a completed application by the November 30th date that we just picked, because we did have one of those that happened too.
Because of,
Because our ordinance is phrased in such a way where it could state that if they miss that deadline, they have to apply as a new facility. Or if they miss that deadline, we can renew them, except for they may not have their new permit by January 1st. So I would like to make a motion to clarify that a completed application renewal after the November 30th deadline, but before the December 31st expiration, is subject to a renewal with a possible lapse in permits, instead of needing to go through as a new facility.
I'll support it.
because a possible lapse, because it will have to go to the January board meeting.
No, it could still go in December as long as it was given before the December date. But if say they would have paid their fees next Monday, it's after the December date, then it would have to go to the January meeting, or they'd have to pay for a special
So
meeting.
that would be the delay.
So that would be the delay.
Okay,
In this instance, we'd be approving it tonight, there's no delay, it's just they were 5 days late in getting their application in. So that's why it's easier to just do a renewal than process them as a new facility.
and that was also Sawyer's suggestion.
Correct. Well, no, he actually had suggested in his
Go with,
in his
renewal.
memorandum that we should process them as a new facility, but he was under the interpretation that they had not submitted their entirety of the fees yet. So when I called him, I clarified, no, they've already submitted their fees. He's like, I could see it either way then,
Okay.
clarify it.
I mean, as long as we got the money and.
So,
There's no
I mean,
sense
everything's already in
Nothing's
there.
changed.
Nothing's changed. There's no
Right.
point of putting them through the
Right.
trauma of going
You
through
know,
additional stuff. So I made the motion, didn't I? Did somebody second
I
it?
second it.
Okay, motion by Hunter, supported by Clark.
Rick
To-
Robert, oh,
or-
okay. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
You want a roll call vote?
Yeah.
Rick Robertson,
Yes?
John Clark,
Yes.
Amanda Hunter,
Yes.
Nancy Conley, yes. Joan David,
Yes.
And that's again till we
until
relook
until
at
the
this
ordinance is
ordinance.
redone, which hopefully will be before we have to do this all.
Did you get her?
I made him a copy of that
Okay,
before the.
alright. So I'll make sure, because that'll be going to planning commission.
So that does
So
lead
then
us
we have to
to
approve the
approving the
permits
permits
on
tonight.
number 10.
Okay, I make a motion that we approve Oceana Gardens 1, their new permits.
Do we have to do them separately, do you think, or all at once?
Depends on if anybody's planning on voting differently for any
I
of
didn't
them.
hear you, Amanda.
It depends on if anybody's planning on voting differently for any of them.
I'd say we could do them all,
Yeah, you could probably do them all at
do them
once.
all one time.
Okay, go ahead, John.
So I make a motion that we approve the permits for Oceana Gardens 1, Oceana Gardens 2, True North Collective, and Hypo.
Support.
Okay, motion by David, supported by Robertson. Do roll call.
Okay. Rick Robertson,
Yes.
John Clark,
Yes,
Amanda Hunter,
Just because of my own convictions, no,
no.
no.
Nancy Conley, yes. Joan David,
Yes.
4 yes, 1 no.
Yep.
Motion carried.
Okay, next, number 11, new computers and printers for the office staff. I don't even know how old Nancy's print.
I was gonna say.
Printer.
Came over on the ship.
All of our equipment, so we have recently found out that a lot of Nancy's USB plugs are not functioning. So her internet would be out every time she'd come in, and it's because the USB ports aren't functioning. Well, our computers don't have Wi-Fi built into them, meaning they're very old, even though we just purchased them a couple years ago, I think.
They're
They're
been
refurbished. So they're breaking down on us constantly. We're looking to, at least from what I had thought, is we would get each of us a laptop so we can work on the go, and then we can connect them to our monitors when we're here. So Nancy, if you don't want to work from home, you don't have to. And this is where we'd be hiring, this is where Mike would come in and set all that up for us.
Yeah.
And our printers, I had made the suggestion that we all get the same printer for mine, Nancy's, and Joan's desk, so that way when one of us runs out of toner, we don't have to order 3 separate toner cartridges. We all have the one.
Well, the one thing with mine though is I
Is
have to
color.
have color.
Yeah, and I wondered about that too, so I'd like to.
The way I do it now, because everything at the cemetery has to be color coded, it's the only reason why we need color. But it's costs a lot of money
It does, it does.
for those types of ink cartridges.
Yeah,
And my computer, I just pray that it works every month to print checks because
And, yeah,
it's very, very old.
and I've never had a computer, I've always just used the cemetery one, and you can only do so much memory in that on that, and then I don't want it to start messing up the cemetery one.
So for the stuff that you've been doing for the township as supervisor, you've been using the computer that was designated for
Cemetery.
cemetery.
so and I'm also thinking that if we're having our own IT person, that IT person should have their own designated computer, whether it be one of the ones that we're retiring, or whether we look at getting them a cheap
So should
version of
we
it, or something like
sit
that.
down with him and lay everything out and
I
between
think-
us all?
I think that would be good.
Okay.
So we don't have to wait, because I know we can get a lot more deals now than we can if we wait till next year.
Yeah,
I would like to make a motion that, I'm thinking, what do you think, up to $2,000 a computer? Up to, no more than?
Per computer?
Yeah.
Oh gosh, that's way
I'm-
high.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too, or, because I'm trying to
Well, he
think,
might be able to have some connections because he is an IT person. He might have connections to get us some deals right now.
exactly, so that's why I'm like, I would like to put a cap on what we are allowed to spend, what we can say he can spend. So do we wanna say 5,000 on 3 new computers? Do we wanna say 6,000 on
Let's-
3 new computers and or printers, as much as we can get?
You wanna, let people know where the financing's coming from that?
It is coming from the marijuana funds, because as the, law states that administrative use can come from those funds.
Well, I would say, even if he takes and uses one of our old ones, he may have to have some updates on the ones that we've been, one of those. Well, I would put a cap at 10,000.
That's what I was thinking too, is it
And
cap
then
of
that would
10,000
be
for
for-
printers
for
and
printers.
for,
Yeah, because the printer
computers.
that we have, that we purchased with marijuana funds, the new printer
Mhm,
is still working very good.
Mhm.
And we were doing newsletters on that too.
mhm. It goes
So,
through toner like mad though,
yeah,
so.
but anyways, you add that to your motion?
Okay, so I would like to make a motion to approve up to $10,000 for new computers and printers for the office staff. That can be purchased as soon as we sit down with,
Yeah. And you get together with him.
yep,
I'll support that.
can get together with him.
Okay, motion by Hunter, supported by Clark to,
Just under quick discussion before you
Yeah.
vote. Just a little history. In 1983, I bought my first computer for the restaurant and POS system, $22,000. 7 years later, I had to buy another computer because that one died. It cost me $1,600.
Yeah.
I said to the guy, the IT guy, I said, well, what do I do with my $20,000? He said, you got a dumpster out back, don't you?
Yeah,
Mhm,
That's how
what-
much
that's what it came
prices
down.
change
oh, yeah.
exactly,
and how,
Yeah.
exactly, and I'm hoping it won't be close to 10,000, I'm
Well, that
hoping we can,
computer I bought
you know.
to replace other was $300.
exactly, you know.
Not
This
really
one that's been doing
complicated.
me fine for a year now was 800,
Yeah.
you know, and it's been doing great, and I love it, but,
Yeah,
you know,
and
it's
he may
not.
use that may be the one he wants, because
So-
when you have to.
I opened up a can of worms, I'm ready to go.
okay. All right, so motion by Hunter, supported by Clark to buy new computers and printers, for the office staff and IT person with a cap of $10,000, which would be, we'd be using marijuana fund money for. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried, 5-0. Next is brining. I need to turn into the road commission, for brining. Normally we do 2 brinings. I know that people in Newfield don't like the thought of 1 brining, so I make a motion that we, have the Oceana County Road Commission do the 2 brinings again for 2023.
Did they give you an estimate?
No, not yet.
Support.
Okay, you can,
Well, I always look to John because his road's brined. The rest of us don't live on a gravel road. So John, what was the brining situation this year? I mean,
I thought it was all
Thought
right.
they did
The
it.
biggest thing, we need some more gravel.
some more
put in
gravel
there.
at the end of the road?
Well, about the middle,
Okay,
in the hollow there.
but you were happy with the brining?
Yeah,
Okay,
but we just need some more gravel or check with, Lonnie or anybody, somebody it's, cause what they put on there was too much clay.
okay, they need more gravel.
Yeah,
Okay,
need something to fill them holes.
okay.
okay, so I make a motion that we do the 2 brinings.
You already did.
Yeah.
Somebody
Yeah,
said-
you
Who
did.
seconded it?
I
Oh my
Rick did.
gosh.
Yes, Rick
Okay,
did.
motion by David, supported by Robertson to do the 2 brinings for 2023. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried, 5-0. The next thing, road commission, road bond. What this is there's 16 townships in Oceana County. There's a group, that would like to approach the road commission about the road commission doing a bond. Not the townships, but the road commission. And then that way, possibly more roads could get done. And, there's a couple of people that have gone in and talked to Mark Timmer about it and have checked on some other things to see the cost efficiency and how many more miles of road it would help without costing the townships money. They don't want to they don't want to go the next step without approval from all 16 townships.
Like a letter of support, or,
All they need is a copy of our meeting minutes saying that we,
so what about the townships that already have their own road bond?
well,
I mean, we don't, but,
Right.
you know, but there are townships that have their own bond,
so they would get even
even more.
more
Or
because
maybe not renew theirs when it comes up.
possibly. So, so they would have that initial money to do the roads that they normally do, and then, if the road commission, did a road bond, then that would just help out.
Do they have any idea how much they would ask for?
Nope, that's all stuff that they'd have to sit down with the road commission and with Mark and to see, but they wanna see if they have the support of all 16 townships before they take all the time to go and sit down and meet and discuss this, but it wouldn't cost the townships any money.
So,
But who would have to say on the road? You? I mean, like you do? I mean, what we want done, or do they
yeah. or do they
decide?
care?
Well, they would, what I usually do is I ask people to give me information if there's a road they have a concern with. I talk to mail delivery people because they're out on the roads.
UPS.
And, I talk to, Mark and Jeff because they're out traveling the roads. And then from there, we decide which ones need to be done.
I think
First,
what he's
we would-
asking is, with
with
this,
the-
would you get to, like, would we get to choose,
get
or
to-
would they say,
as a
oh,
bond?
you know,
Oh.
we're gonna choose
Like
this
with
road,
our-
even
our-
though.
I think
Same.
I think what they would do is they would, give us a list of what the roads they feel. Cause
Right.
some roads are so bad that
Right.
you can't fix them, you're gonna have to tear them apart before that. And they would probably give a list of roads that are at the point where, if we do this now, it's gonna save it, it's not gonna
Right.
cost as much money. And
We'd
that,
still have say
but
on
we
the
would
roads.
still have to
Yeah,
say, because
say.
they would still have to give us the names of the roads, and then it would be up to us to vote on which roads we want them to do,
Right.
Okay.
to start at.
So I guess I'm still just slightly confused. They're planning on, is this like a millage
Yes,
that they're planning on putting on a ballot then?
It would have to be voted on by the,
That's,
By the people.
okay, that's what I was
The
thinking is
township.
what they're talking
well, it'd
about.
have to be
So,
voted on by the people.
Right.
yeah, but it doesn't specifically cost us any money yet to put support. It's just we're supporting whether or not we
To go
want
in
them
and
to put
talk
it
to
on the
them.
ballot.
Well,
So
not
look
even that
into-
point
to
right
look
now,
into.
it's just a matter of us saying, okay, we're, we wanna go forward with this and see what they can do, and then they will go to the road commission. And It
No.
doesn't guarantee that it's gonna be on a ballot, it doesn't
Mhm,
guarantee
yeah.
that they're gonna go out and get a bond, it's just us saying that we're supporting all the other townships in Oceana County and going as a 16
They're gonna
township team
To
look
look
into
at
it,
Right.
start
Look
the
into it.
process.
But they want an okay from all the townships before doing that.
So they wanna,
They just,
they wanna vote.
A motion
You
of
make
support.
a motion, yep.
Motion of support.
So I make a motion that we approve that they go to the road commission to discuss a road bond for Oceana County.
I'll
come on,
support.
dirt road man, support that.
Support.
But Amanda supported it. So motion by David, supported by
I don't wanna do
Hunter
them all.
for a road bond for our Oceana County Road Commission. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, carried 5-0. Next thing, electrical. About a month ago, when I was trying to make the office look like an office, my desk hit a plug and there were sparks flying. So Dennis took it apart, it was all, the electrical was not up to code, it should never have been like it is. On Saturday, we had the issue again right over there by the cupboards, and there was sparks shooting straight out, people were scattering. Tried to plug something in again a little bit later, sparks again were even worse, and it went up the wall and it even burnt, so there's black on there. So I had Dennis come in again and he checked it out, and you wanna tell him what's wrong with this place? Don't leave anything of value here.
The whole office area, there's 12 plugs out there, and these 4 here are all wired to the same 20 amp circuit. And it's plugged in a coffee pot, and there's no ground wire in there to set the ground fault. They get a ground fault plug there, but no ground wire hooked to it, so it's not properly grounded and it's very dangerous.
So everything in here, so the coffee pots, the microwave, the refrigerator, all the computers, all the printers are all on one, so.
And then on Amanda's plug there, there's 14 gauge wire on hers with a 20 amp breaker. Well, it's supposed to be 15 amp for 20 gauge, or 14 gauge, so there's some issues with the wiring.
So we need.
So you talked to an
full overall-
electrician?
Are we thinking full overall?
I talked to a
full-
certified
Possibly.
electrician, he was willing to come help me do it for just the cost of the wire. Randy, state certified electrician,
Yeah.
so.
The thing is, probably when they built this building, what they put in was sufficient,
Yeah.
but they, for one thing, the clerk did all her stuff at the clerk's house, so she didn't have a computer. The supervisor didn't have a computer or printer, and then the treasurer was doing most of the stuff at her house until I came on board, and then we were here one day a week. So, and they weren't thinking about crock pots and coffee pots and all this plugged in, when they built it,
Yeah.
you know.
But it shouldn't have even passed because they didn't even have the right
They-
boxes in the
No,
wall.
they're metal boxes and ain't one of them grounded. Each metal box has to be grounded to the box. And then the receptacles aren't pigtailed, so if one receptacle goes out, the rest of them stay on. It's the old school, from nut to nut, so one fails, the rest of them fail. With no ground whatsoever, the ground fault don't trip. So, in each bathroom, there's ground faults, and then one up here, none of them work. You can shut them off by pushing them, but, set them with too much voltage, they don't work. So, it's a
Do we
huge,
need a motion?
Well,
So
so we
you-
need to
you-
decide, we need to decide what to do, and we need to do it quick. So we have Dennis and Randy, who's state certified electrician, do it. Otherwise, there's one other person, Noah Dykstra, that would probably do it. So we just, this is one thing that, you know, we're supposed to have 3, we don't have
We
time
don't
for
have
that.
time.
I mean, we're lucky that we made it from Saturday to now without,
We felt like
A
Green
fire.
Acres, we unplugged everything. So,
So, and you said Randy was willing to do it for the
Yeah.
cost of the
I
wires?
talked to him today, he said he would help me,
and he'll do
and he's a
it.
So,
state
should-
certified electrician.
I would like to make a
He
motion.
got his license yet?
I'm not sure about that.
I checked. He told
Well,
me-
Well,
then
he
you
said he
hire
did.
us. If he don't, then
He
it's
told
up to
me,
you
yeah.
guys what you wanna do.
I mean, I just checked, sure.
Yeah, well, it depends on what the board wants to, because it's obviously somebody wired this without
Yeah.
a permit,
Oh,
you
yeah.
know, obviously, so do you guys want,
Yeah, I don't matter to
want me to
but-
fix it with him, or do you wanna hire, you know, if he don't have his permit, what do you wanna do, it's up to you guys. But I can fix that, but, no, I'm not, I wired my own house, and I was inspected, and I know what to do, but that's beside the point.
Well,
You got
thanks.
people that aren't gonna be happy if it's not state certified electrician, so you guys
Well,
gotta
he's
make that.
certified, maybe his, you know,
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
got,
he's state certified.
yeah.
So that's up to you guys, I don't wanna get into that.
okay, let Amanda.
I would say as long as Randy Daniels is state certified, that we will hire him and Dennis to take a look at and fix the wiring in the township hall. I would also add to this motion that they each get paid an hourly wage.
Yeah.
$15, is it 15? $15 an hour what we typically do.
Well-
Like, I think they need to get paid an hourly wage for that, both of them, so.
Yeah,
Well, the only thing that would have to be done to each box out there, just run a ground wire, because they're all metal. And then we would, run a wire from the kitchen up to the main panel and separate this circuit from the office. That's it, and the rest of these are fine.
You check these ones and stuff? Okay.
Well, isn't there
Did we
some,
check the lighting and everything?
something's
too?
what's wrong with the
Yeah,
bathroom
we have to
too?
fix the bathroom one, but there's
So,
no ground wire in there either, but just these ones here.
You probably should check the one that's outside too.
and you said there's room on the hand box for
Steve
the,
and I checked it, there's plenty of room for the new air conditioner, for the 220 plus
okay.
whatever we add to it.
So Amanda's got the motion.
Okay, do I have a
So it's
second?
not safe, it's not safe. Could burn
I'll
down.
support it.
Okay, motion by Hunter, supported by Clark to hire Randy Daniels, Zazie State Certified, and Dennis David to do the electrical at the town hall and would get, reimbursed for the supplies and get an hourly wage of $15 an hour. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried
who
5.
seconded that? Sorry.
Um,
Rainford.
okay. Carried 5-0. Next, MTA, report. The next meeting is gonna be the last Wednesday in January at, Newfield Township. And that's at 6 o'clock.
And they'll be discussing.
And they're gonna be discussing blight is gonna be the main subject.
And the public is welcome to come, you know, to the MTA meetings.
And that's all I have right now.
Where is that, you said?
Crystal
Crystal.
Township,
So at 7 PM?
6. Yeah, every, we changed it to bi-monthly instead of, quarterly because there's so much things that we want to work on and, we have, some of the things are blight, cemetery, there's a lot of people with cemetery issues, FOIA, things like that, so we decided to do it every other month instead of every 3 months, that way we can cover more things in a more timely manner. So, I don't think Newfield's gonna be hosting until 2024.
Yeah, you did a 2-year.
I did a 2-year schedule for everybody, and I'm pretty sure we're 2024, but still. Planning Commission, they meet January 12th. They all,
Also, we got the bids, 2 bids for the master plan.
Okay.
2 bids for the master plan.
There are both the master plan and rewriting the zoning ordinance.
Okay,
The same person did we both?
Yeah, both, there's two planning companies.
Okay, okay.
and also, they'll be voting in January as to who's gonna be the chair, co-chair, and secretary.
Would they still need a co-chair? Since
Well,
they've
probably
already
not with
done
only 5.
Because I think they've added the co-chair in when they went to 7.
So, a chair and possibly a new secretary. Cemetery, do you have anything, Dennis?
No, I just had one burial for the month, and I don't expect any more until April 1st.
Okay. Zoning, Steve?
Well, as of last month, we were up to 30 permits, and we already had one this month. So we're not gonna break a record, but we're pretty
That's
much,
why our this was way off,
yeah,
our budgeting,
yeah.
whoever
It's,
dreamed of it.
I think it's gonna slow down next year with interest rates going up, but you never know. We did have some more violations. I investigated another one. We have second letters have gone out to 3, and if those don't respond, then I'll be issuing civil infractions, and Sawyer and I will be going to court. And we're just not gonna put up with some of that stuff. On the other hand, we have some that are making progress. So one in particular, it was tough. So it's all good.
Okay.
Can I just question why there's nothing in my November line on this one?
know what?
Nothing in my
Nothing in
November.
November.
Probably because I printed the wrong one.
Okay, that's fine. I was just curious. You explained it.
Because it went to the wrong printer.
Yeah, the only thing that, if you want to fill in real quick, there were only 4 inquiries in November, phone inquiries. There was another permit to take the total to 30. None were rejected, no zoning board of appeals. There was 1 complaint and 1 additional violation.
Thank you.
Now I'll send that out to everyone, the correct one.
Yeah, this works for me, but thank
Yeah,
you.
that's fine.
I appreciate it.
Okay, next is public comments. Board discussion.
I wanted to bring this up during board discussion. I have, I think, everything in for the November election as far as bills.
You did get one more.
No, that was a
Oh,
she
Okay.
sent the second one, and that
Okay.
one wasn't set out to the November, we don't meet till December.
okay,
Yeah,
alright, cause I was
yeah.
just gonna say, it was in my tax
Yeah,
payments
no,
and I came across
thank
it.
you. So I think I have all the bills in right now for the November election. It looks like it cost us $3,346.22. Some of that may have been reimbursed because it was a gubernatorial, but that was taken care of at the county level. So we did receive our certifications from the Board of Canvassers, and everything, everything balanced out that we received. We had no questions from the Board of Canvassers. It looks like our treasurer, there were 968 votes cast. Amanda got 567, Tabitha got 401. Our fire protection millage, total votes was 1,032. So we had 731 yes, 301 no. The votes for the proposal to repeal the ordinance authorizing and permitting commercial marijuana facilities, we had total cast 1,082 votes, 384 were yes, 698 were no. And then on the 3 proposals that were state proposals, those all passed within. So, but we did balance, and we got I think I gave you all from the Board of Canvassers. It worked, you know, we balanced, everything was fine, so, I guess that's all I have.
Okay, any other board discussion? Okay, motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Or, whatever, yeah.
Okay, motion by Clark, or motion by Conley, supported by Robertson to